Nagogo, Rashid, Katalaka Bakarim, are all the same. With due reference to people like my older brothers, Terror, Shola Williams, and all the other elders, I say let me try. If you see me going down, yes, those people don't pick you up. Let me say that I have listened carefully to all the speakers. And I think a lot of the things they have said falls within a framework. Falls within a framework. And I think we should look at it that way. If we are ready to go far in this cultural embraces, even though the original doesn't agree with that, but I think it's a redundance in a way. What has been said individually has been said beautifully by late Professor Halidu, the Kenyan, who died not too long ago. He had a series in the 1990s or 98. And he looked at it from the point of view, when we talk of culture, what are the problems of culture? Culture is dying, and so on and so forth. And he said, he put it this way, Africa's triple heritage. And that triple heritage, what is affecting culture in Africa? And he said differently. The first is colonialism, our colonial experience. The second is religion, Islam, Christianity, and so on and so forth. And of course, the fourth is modernization, which again has extended to globalization. All these have had profound effects, impact on our culture. If you look at religion, I think we really don't need to say much about religion, how it has impacted on our culture. For instance, in Barutin, where I come from, one of the beautiful things we have culturally, I think we have one of the best cultures globally. One of the things that the simple one, the very demonstrative one, that is singing, drumming, and dancing. In our Nigerian part of it is dying because a lot of our people have been brainwashed to think that if you are drumming or you are dancing, take dance, and so on, that's unreligious. It's not Islam. So it has affected, I believe, negatively on our culture. And some of the things that Professor and his people should be doing is to find ways of reorientating people, particularly the faith-based organizations. That, of course, because somebody is dancing or is hitting the drum, that doesn't make him an unbeliever. Then, of course, colonialism. That's where I want to say something. Everybody has talked about colonialism, how we have been enslaved, how we've been taken across the Atlantic Ocean, and how we are still enslaved because we are still mentally enslaved. I wish Nicola Kokuti will be here. I think he will summarize all the things we have been saying. Now, the colonialism has made many people think very differently, out of context with their own culture, and so on and so forth. Issue of colonialism has been discussed. But one thing I want to mention, which I think Professor Ogunade, I know that should take note of, is that we the minorities are being colonized within Nigeria. There's cultural colonization. For us, like the Baruba people, the people, I see cultural colonization for the Hausa and for the Yorubas. So ours is not just the global colonization. Our children, for instance, who are here in the north, not too far, all the way speak Yoruba. And but still, they speak our own language with our Yoruba mindset. They translate Yoruba into our language to speak it. And I think this is a very serious case of colonization. So, when you talk about colonization, we're not talking about Northern people and so on and so forth. We're also talking of people within. Again, this is not a direct or an effort by the Yorubas or the Hausa. I'm an Emir. Within our culture, we are nothing like Emir. You don't see this big turban on my head. But again, part of the globalization. So I want to believe that even when you talk about culture being dominated by other cultures, it's inevitable. Anybody who talks in Nigeria today about tribes and culture, Yoruba, Hausa, and Igbo, there are over 300 other tribes and cultures that nobody talks about. So when you are talking of cultural reasons, which one are you talking of? Is it the Yoruba culture, the Hausa culture, or the Igbo culture? Definitely, there are so many other cultures that we need to talk about. Now let me just sound a little warning in the center that unless you go out, think outside the box. This center is not going to have the kind of impact that is envisioned by Vice Chancellor and of course by the Director and other people who are responsible for the center. With all due respect here, let me say Professor Abubakar has gone out of his way to court the participation of people like us. Let me say, he has come to Barutin 3 or 4 times with my brother, Lafia. And about 2 years ago, we attended the Ghani Cultural Festival in Negi. And that's the center, epicenter of the Batalon culture, the Ghani Festival, which of course many of you have either attended or you're part of it. Now, I think I want to thank him, of course thank the Vice Chancellor for giving us that recognition. But I think it should go beyond that. It should be a recognition that goes much further than the Batalon. For instance, there is what you call the Kuba. They are the Nupes. These are minorities. They have their own cultures. Because if you don't take time, when next time you are going to have a symposium or whatever, and people say, I'm going to talk about the Yoruba culture, what concerns me. So I think, when I appreciate what has been done so far, I think so much needs to be done to really look at the culture broadly, not just the macro setting of culture, but the micro setting of culture. I think that is where the danger of dying resides. It's the culture of the Baton, the Bali, so on and so forth in this country. Not the culture of the Hausa, if there is any, or the Yoruba or the Igbo. I know, of course, they have their own problems. And their own problems is like a very rich man who wants to buy a private jet. That's his own problem. A poor man who just wants to buy a bicycle will not think like the rich man. So when we are talking about bigger cultures, more established cultures, at least within the framework of the colonial presence in Nigeria and Africa, we need to look at these small cultures that have a tendency to be wiped away. Look at the dynamics. What makes cultures fade or even die? I since I came here over 10 years ago, incidentally because before I became here, I'm a professor of economics. Over 10 years ago, I just noticed that there is a sharp difference in our cultural practices between we the Baruba in Nigeria and our brothers and sisters in the Republic. our culture is more deeply entrenched there than here in Nigeria. So these are things that we need to wonder what has happened. Our people, those who have been brainwashed by this colonial thing, will say, oh, the Benin Republic people are Bush people, they are not civilized. But that's the problem. If you have your culture, people will say you are not civilized. But I think having your own culture is the height of civilization. Again, no matter what you do, no matter how hard you try, you still have to borrow from other cultures. It's still a video. It has been a lifelong thing. A lot of the words in English are borrowed from French or German or German. So it's still a video. But for we, the smaller cultural ethnic groups, I think there's some attention, special attention need to be paid.